the time for us to ask how we were going to get out of Iraq was before we went in. And that is something that too many of us failed to do. We failed to do it, and I do think that is something that both Republicans and Democrats have to take responsibility for. When I am President of the United States, when I send our troops into battle, I'm going to be absolutely sure that it's based on sound intelligence, and I'm going to tell the truth to the American people as well as the families who are being asked to sacrifice.
To the question of are the troops dying in vain, though, yes or no?
I never think that troops like those who are coming out of the Citadel who do their mission for their country are dying in vain. But what I do think is that the civilian leadership and the commander-in-chief has a responsibility to make sure that they have the plans that are going to allow our troops to succeed in their mission.
Senator Edwards, did the troops in Vietnam die in vain?
I don't think any of our troops die in vain when they go and do the duty that's been given to them by the commander-in-chief. No, I don't think they died in vain. But I think the question is what is going to be done to stop this war? Other people have raised the question earlier, and in fact, Senator Obama spoke just a minute ago about the White House agreeing that the Iraqi parliament, could take a month-long vacation because it was too hot. While our men and women are putting their lives on the line every day, here's my question. While the Iraqi parliament is in vacation, is George Bush going to be on vacation in Crawford, Texas? What we need to do is turn up the heat on George Bush and hold him responsible and make this president change course. It is the only way he will change course. He will never change course unless he's made to do it.
Got another question. This one's relatively short from Tony Fuller. Let's listen.
My name is Tony Fuller from Wellston, Ohio, and I was wondering if the candidates feel women should register for the draft when they turn 18. Why? Or why not?
Should women register for selective service when they turn 18 like men do currently? Senator Dodd?
Well, yeah, I think they should in a sense. I'm opposed to a draft, but I think if you're going to have registration, it ought to be across lines here. You don't just ask one gender to do their responsibility. So in my view, that would be the fair thing to do. I happen to believe, by the way, Anderson, and taking the question here a bit further, and it's a good question that Tony has raised, I'm an advocate of universal national service, not by mandating it, but one of the things I'm missing in our country is the shared experience. I served in the National Guard, I served in the reserves, I served in the Peace Corps in Latin America back in the 60s here. I want to see every American given the opportunity to serve their country in some way. I think we need to do more of that in the United States today. Elections ought to be more than just about a series of issues, but the shared experiences of service. So important that every American have that opportunity is something I strongly advocate and would advocate as president.
Senator Clinton, do you think women should register for selective service?
I do. I don't support a draft. I think our all-volunteer military has performed superbly, but we've had women die in Iraq. We've had combat deaths of women in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I do think that women should register. I doubt very much that we'll ever have to go back to a draft, but I think it is fair to call upon every young American. And I agree completely with Chris. We've got to look for more ways for universal national service. I've introduced legislation for a public service academy that would be patterned on great institutions like the Citadel and our military academies, because we've got to get young people back into public service. And the other night we had a provision in our bill that we passed to have people who go into public service have their student loans deferred and even forgiven. We need to do more to support public service.
Senator Obama? Should women register for selective service?
You know, a while back we had a celebration in the Capitol for the Tuskegee Airmen, and it was extraordinarily powerful because it reminded us there was a time when African Americans weren't allowed to serve in combat, and yet when they did, not only did they perform brilliantly, but what also happened is they helped to change America, and they helped to underscore that we're equal. And I think that if women are registered for service, not necessarily in combat roles, and I don't agree with the draft, I think it will help to send a message to my two daughters that they've got obligations to this great country as well as boys do.
Senator Edwards?
Anyone who has any question about whether women can serve this country honorably in the military should meet Tally Parham, who's sitting with my wife Elizabeth down there. She flew fighter jets, F-16s, into the first 15 minutes of the war in Iraq, flew over Baghdad. She put her life at risk at the very beginning of the war. Anybody who has any question about whether women can serve courageously and honorably need to meet women like Tally Parham.
Senator Gravel?
Well, of course, I want to take credit and admit that I'm the guy that filibustered for 5 months all by myself in the Senate to end the draft in the United States of America. And I'm very proud of that because George Bush does not have the boots on the ground to invade Iran. Thank you.
Do you think should women register?
Well, of course, women should be go into the draft. If we're going to have a draft, they should register also.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Thank you for your answer. Another video.
Hello, my name is John McAlpin. I'm a proud serving member of the United States military. I'm serving overseas. This question is to Senator Hillary Clinton. The Arab states and Muslim nations believe as women as being second-class citizens. If you're President of the United States, how do you feel that you would even be taken seriously by these states in any kind of talks